point, you've got, let's see, Eladimir's running low on cash, but he's got a huge amount of gas. He could have had a lot of corruptors, which I guess would have helped a bit with his air superiority. But he's sticking with his Roach and Hydra army, which would have been great. In fact, if Roaches just had burrow here, they could have burrowed, crawled right here next to these tanks, and just made mincemeat of them. And because of the amount of Vikings, the Hydras are a really great counter to the Vikings. So I think at this point he really would have had the game here. He would have just destroyed this army if he had Roaches with burrow. He would have just destroyed that and he would have had most of his troops left. He could have just counter pushed right into here, and there's nothing left to defend. So, and now he's stuck. On his production tab, we got 6 Hydras and 2 Roaches. He's really stuck with his. He's got one strategy he can use, and that's just to try to build up his force again. And the Vikings are here to take out the Mutalisks before they can take out all these siege tanks. So like the Mutalisks in this battle were just rendered completely useless. So I think early on the Banelings really would have helped. In fact, even in this part of the game, the Banelings would have helped, because when people see Banelings coming, it takes a few seconds for the siege tanks to siege and all that. So, and with the amount of gas that he had earlier on, like right now it's running a bit low because he's producing Hydras and things like that, but yeah, just the use of Banelings would have made this battle go. The early battle, he could have won in 10 minutes if he had a few Banelings to take out that small Marine Marauder force. And like I said earlier, he could have, these tanks would have long since been dead with Roaches with burrow. And once those tanks are dead, that whole middle battle where he had 150 food worth of Roaches and Hydras, those would have, half of them would have survived. He would have won the game back then as well. So at this point, there's not much left. We got tanks here popping away at this in-base hatchery. Too little, too late. He's got some drones mining up here at the 4th, and one drone mining here. He's completely mined out down here, and way oversaturated right here. And this is because, as I said earlier, the drones didn't get Maynarded from the main to the expansions. So then when he came under siege, his drones were all stuck in here. So we got 16, 23 drones sitting here. I guess that's not a huge amount of drones, but when you're getting mined out in the late game and things like that, like, okay, well, there's only 5 mineral patches, so 25 drones is too much for that. So that is one of the things. It's a simple thing to do earlier on in the game. You'd rather have your drones spread out and start mining these expansions rather than mining your main and even your first expansion as well. Okay, well, that's it. I made it through. I realized that it was a little bit of a dry tone, so I'll try to sound a little more excited next time. But thing is, I've watched this replay about 4 times, so nothing's new to me. I knew exactly how it was going to go, and I just wanted to point out a few of the simple things that turned the battle in the way of Echo, that I think Eladimir really just, if he didn't get stuck with just pumping Roaches and Hydras without a change in strategy, he could have easily taken this game. And I think his macro was better than Echo. The speed that he produced the units, his upgrades, and things like that. I think Eladimir actually played the better game, and then Echo started expanding when he knew he had the game won. So these expansions just came out at the end. So I think Eladimir really should have won. I think he played a good game, but just his troop selection wasn't there. So, and the Doom drop failed pretty miserably. So the control of his troops when he did the drop, and if you realize that you're getting just completely owned at getting choked off here, there were siege tanks here, and then the Marines and Marauders were all back here, guarded by the command center. His troops are getting raped, and there's nothing wrong with just loading them back up into those overlords and flying away. You got overlord speed; they're mostly going to get away, and then you got your guys back in your main base to defend against a counter push. So that Doom drop, once he realized that it wasn't going very well, and there wasn't much to gain because it was already mined out. So yeah, you take out the command center, that's fine. He doesn't even need it. So yeah, he could have retreated, and that would have really saved a lot of his troops as well. So a few points, or he could have played better, but all in all, pretty good game. And I think Echo, it really did not play the better game. So that's it. I am done, and I suppose have fun.